Hey, what's up, guys? Recap here of last night's session inside of Legends. After a long year, I finally got to get back into my game. If you remember where I had left off, I had the big thing was there was that shared will experience where I got the final memories of this essentially living weapon for a powerful Saiyan, and I was dealing with the after effects of it. Now, apparently, there's always like a lot of times there's some sort of after effects that come with this shared will experience, especially as someone who hasn't done it that often. But this one was also very traumatic and had some weird circumstances around it. Anyway, I had kind of been slipping in and out of consciousness, randomly blacking out, feeling terrible in general. So I woke up in my game 3 years in the past. I think I was 23. I was 26 now. I'm still a Super Saiyan 1. I had not ascended the second form yet. I had not fought Quintus, the SS3, and I didn't have access to quite all of my powers yet, but um, I was on this world called Sagittarium, or the system called Sagittarium, which is inside my my family's like realm of influence. And there was this tournament being held, and I was basically to be one of the exhibition matches, kind of as like a you know. So I don't want to like I said, it wasn't like I was given. I guess it's more like I was kind of given a slot to it. No, it wasn't because my mom pulled some strings to get me a slot as the exhibition match, and yeah, so I was supposed to fight uh, some some Saiyan girl who I don't know her name or anything like that, but it doesn't matter. She gets disqualified anyway before she gets to fight me. So there's like this stadium that's like 5 times the size of a football field, like 500 yards. I think the DM said there's a giant dome around it, like an energy field that allows like Saiyans to fight, and it holds like 1 million people in the stands. And so we're there. I'm supposed to fight like as an exhibition match, um, and it's like my mom and my uncle Tosh are there with me. The first kind of dream I have is talking with my mom and just kind of like building up to the fight, getting. I no no. So it's like I had like a month to prepare for it. And because this is like a dream state, or not even a dream state, it's a memory. Like it's a memory state within a dream state. Um, there's a lot of fast forwarding that happens, but we had like kind of trained and sparred to kind of get ready for it, also along with a little bit of mental preparation because like it's kind of different where there's a different kind of stress where you're fighting in front of a crowd, but like it's not life and death. It's like kind of, like I said, it's kind of it's like you don't want to let that get in your head. So like there was some practice about that, but like my mom and I sparred a bit, and she's got some weird powers. I come to find out like she's a life magics user, and she can like something she can do is she can take it to the point where she can actually create animals and animal hybrids with her life magic, and apparently she can incorporate them into her fighting style. Like she created these uh, bat-like wings on her back, and they turned into what looked like destructo discs. Now she dulled them down so they weren't as quite as fatal. Because my mom's an SS3, like she could wreck me easily. And at this point, like I'm an SS1, or just a Super Saiyan. So like I'm assuming she dulled them down. Like the DM said, whenever they were hitting, um, it didn't they weren't like the same sharpness as a destructo disc. With respect to that technique, because it's like actually putting an edge on energy is something else. Uh, anyway, she fires like so we get into it and everything. Uh, the the fight is starts out going really well for me because I use my pillars, and my pillars are my transcendent technique where I basically summon these energy pillars and I use them like portable explosive devices, like anything from creating a minefield to using them as like shape charges where their destructive potential is a level beyond where I am. And it's there's a lot of like there's I guess there's like 3 or 4 ways to use them. The most potent way is whenever I directly interact with them. Like if I strike them as if it was it creates like a shape charge where it kind of makes this explosion outward. Basically, being on the other side of that, like that's one of those like super potent blasts that'll drop somebody significantly. So like the first thing I did with my mom was like I opened up with it. Like it's like it's my ultimate technique, but it's very spammable. Like each one of these pillars, now these pillars are large. Like they're taller than me. They're I can make them taller, I believe, but like they're very big around. Each one of them takes about 1% of my total energy pool to summon, and the first thing I do is I summon I summon 3 of them, and I kind of trail them behind me. And this is one of the states they can be used in. Is I fly in for a punch up against my mom, like a kind of an aggressive thing, and I have them slam into me from behind. So if I'm inside the pillar, I can basically detonate it for an omnidirectional blast. So like at that point, I become like this living bomb kind of thing where it's like if I'm on the inside and detonate it, it just boom blows out everywhere from there. And they're pretty incredibly destructive. Like they're one of those ones where in my current state, like one of them like completely reshapes the landscape around me, kind of like the if you remember like the DBZ Frieza fight, like how it's just like everything is getting either flattened out or something to that effect. So like they're very destructive. So I do that and just kind of like chain them into me and bang 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 like throw for the punch because like I'm not the best physical fighter, but my energy projection is on point. Um, and my energy finesse, like my energy control is pretty up there. Like I won't say like Magneto levels because like I had a character like that in Generations that was getting on there on the finesse, but like Emrys he's very good when it comes to being able to control his energy and also just the raw potency of it. Like I'm more of a blaster than I am a boxer. Like I can still get it in, I can still throw punches, and they still pack a punch. And I have a excuse me, I have a host of abilities that help me augment that, which I'll get into later. But yeah, so we get it in. I come to find out afterwards, I'm gonna jump around a little bit here, that like it was hard for like the first blast, the first thing I did like that opener with my mom dropped her super saiyan energy by like 30%, and it cost me what 3% of my energy. So like that's kind of an idea of the trade off. Like when you take I guess like in this game when you take uh, large energy blasts like that, like it can knock, you can sense like the percentage it knocks someone down out of a state. And she had later admitted to me is like when I brought them out, like her, she's been like out of the game a little bit, but she still keeps herself sharp when it comes to being a warrior. Like my mom's 80 years old. Like that's which isn't like she isn't like a hunched over old lady or anything like that. She looks like she's 40, like saying visually differently. Um, uh, yeah, she admits to me that like it was hard for her to just maintain Super Saiyan and not jump to 2 to fight me when I was using my pillars like that, because it's just like she wants to give me something to train. Like she's not looking for me to go out there and just to win fights easily, because like my projection is kind of like I said, it's not everything, but it's like it's up there. So she does the Batwings thing. The thing that catches me though is she oh, that's the other thing is like her long form power is immense compared to mine. So it's like I could knock her down to, you know, 30%, and then she can jump right back up because she has this massive reserve of power. Whereas like someone who's closer to my level, it's like you get knocked down to 30%, or you get knocked down 30%, so you're sitting at 70%. Like that's where you're at for now until you're exhausted. So I wasn't long form at this point, but she is. So like she could probably fill up her power, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 20 times over or something like that. And say like that's one of those things where I think I've talked about like long form Super Saiyan versus just like hitting the level. And getting long form is everything. Like getting long form is is that whole like true warrior state where it's not about like getting knocked down once. It's like you can get knocked down time and time again, but like also fill yourself back up and keep at it. And you could also just expend immense amount of energy. But it's also why my pillars get so everything is uh it's always 1% of my power, and the only thing that increases per pillar. The only thing that increases is their destructive potential based on the amount of power I possess. So that's why they kind of get like these massive destructive potentials as I progress as a character. Um, yeah, so she summons this weird snake, or has this weird snake around her, usually like kind of rests on her shoulder or like around her shoulder, and it wraps me up and like slams me to the ground, like, and it's not even like it pulls me to the ground, it's just like I fell to the ground. And I come to find out after the fight that it basically can, it's a snake that can alter its mass. So God knows, like as a Super Saiyan 3, how powerful this thing actually is. But like it pinned me, and when I was getting ready to get out of it, she got me to yield because I was gonna detonate one of those pillars close to the ground, and we were fighting at like this site that had like all these. It was kind of like a gladiatorial. I don't know if it was man-made or if it was like a natural occurrence. Anyway, like there's these pillars of stone everywhere, and I'd have blown everything up. And she got me to yield. I was like, just because we're sparring, I was like, yeah, you got to yield. And it's just one of those things where didn't want to completely. I guess she didn't want to destroy everything that we were out here. Emrys is a little more carefree when it comes to destroying landscapes. Like I was saying, baby, we sometimes landscapes got to be destroyed. um, yeah, so that fight happens, and I'm kind of like fast forwarded, uh, where we train, you know, on and off for like the next month, like preparing up to this match, and from there I wake up and I'm in bed, uh, and still feeling like groggy and out of it, and I come to find out that like I had lost a week's worth of time, where like I was basically in and out of consciousness. I can kind of remember like going through the steps of helping Rohan in my shop, kind of overseeing some projects with him, helping Saya train some, and just like it's this weird kind of blurry. I actually did stuff and I was coherent for part of it, and then other parts of it I just slip out of consciousness. I lose time, and apparently my last foray into cleansing this shared will thing with the deep meditation didn't work. So that sucks. Um, I'm trying to remember the order of events here. Okay, so no, I think it did happen after that. I wake up and my chest is wrapped in bandages, and um, there's a there's a wound in my chest and this jar of black liquid sitting next to my bed. So I kind of stumble downstairs and everything like that. And the last thing I remember, like that kind of comes to me after this dream state, is my longtime rival, sort of friend, Kato, had shot me with this gun in the chest. I come downstairs. I sense Kato is in my shop with Rohan and Saya, and I go down and confront him, and I was like, "You shot me." It was like because I was like in this weakened state and everything like that, and we're not all like we're rivals in the sense that we constantly push each other to be better, to be stronger. There's like a friendly rivalry there, but like there's also like that kind of grit your teeth and try not to kill each other, but also like really kind of get it in rivalry going on. Like it's not like we're at the end of the day we're throwing arms around each other's shoulder and say, you know, good fight, buddy, good fight. Like there's still like that bit of tension or that kind of back and forth that exists. And but like, you know, at the end of the day, like he calls on me to help him, like the whole Alamec training facility thing that we did sessions and sessions ago, where like this dude is out here scamming like underprivileged Saiyans, like with the prospect of actually good training, and it's trash training. You know, that was something he put a stop to in the community. So he's not entirely a bad guy. And he's not a bad guy in general. Like there's certain things I would trust him with, just because like we've built up that trust over the years with our scrapes and fights and everything. So Kato's there. You shot me, and he explains to me that he's a life magics user. I think I might be wrong. I have to look it up, but I don't want to correct myself yet. But he controls electricity and earth, but specifically metal. So he's kind of like he's got like a nice little synergy there within his own thing. But there was like this he explains to me that um, he got conscripted by an acolyte of the Harlequin. Like the Harlequin sent an agent to him, and if you guys don't remember, the Harlequin is the elder god of speed, or like the elder being of speed, as a part of this universe, and it's something that I'm tied to. Like I'm a messenger of the Harlequin, and because of it, I can call upon the Harlequin's power, or basically trade parts of my power to get like these massive bursts of speed. Um, he says that an acolyte basically came to him and said, "I need you to look after this guy here, who's one of our agents or whatever, and we'll pay you well for it." So they're paying him well enough to him to accept the job. He comes to check me out, I guess like some of their intel basically led him that I was having this sort of problem where I might not be in a state to be able to do what I need to do. He uses this toxin on me uh, that will supposedly help expel the stuff that's affecting me. And I come to find out that's what that black goop is beside my thing. I apparently threw that up. So it's very concerning to me because more like not even like sort of inside the game, but also outside the game. That I basically did this shared will experience, where shared will experience is you experience something through something else as if it's a memory, but this memory was so potent, or the foes that it was dealing with were so powerful that uh, if I don't know if you guys remember, like I had died in this shared will, like or the memory was like of a death of a powerful Saiyan, and I experienced that, and these like black skeleton type things were like tearing me apart and everything. So apparently that memory alone was like it transferred this weird black stuff inside of me, like it infected me in a way. And anyway, this toxin he shot me with was like drawing it out of me. And I'm pretty sure that he didn't need to shoot me in the chest and leave this chest wound. But he's Kato, so like that's kind of the thing that he would do. Um, I sit down and talk with Saya, Kato a bit, and Rohan. Like I kind of go over some of the stuff with Rohan, plans about the Cameron, the Wonder Warrior, the Cosmic Being dude that I fought, his weapon, and what he wants to do. Um, and I'm starting to feel lightheaded again. Like, god damn it. And he explains to me that like, not tomorrow, but the day afterwards, like that there's like and I know this like from a feeling or something like that there's like basically a mission I have to go on for the Harlequin, um, to deliver this very important information. Now sometimes when I get called up to do this, like there's like low priority and high priority. It's all based on a feeling. Like you basically get a feeling that this is you know, if you skip it, like if you have too much stuff going on in your current life, like they'll find someone else because the Harlequin network is rather large, and she's like an information broker of some sort, in addition to being like this deity. Um, and like the payment of like basically her power is that you become an information broker, that you basically become like a messenger of some sort, for some people, or like, you know, not for some people, for her, for like important things that or she thinks she needs important. But anyway, some of the stuff you can ignore, and like there's no, like, you won't see a penalty or anything like that. Other stuff you get, like, it's more urgent or pressing, or like they need you to do it, like, you know, you basically, you're using part of my power to do this, you do this for me, like 100%, like we can't, you know, we it's set up in a way that you're the best person for it, who's in that area, or, you know, through power or whatever, like whatever the circumstances are, you got to be the one, otherwise there's going to be like consequences and repercussions kind of thing. uh so yeah, there's that. It's the day after tomorrow, and we're kind of talking, like Rohan and I are talking about plans, Saya's talking about training, Kato and Saya are kind of going out. Saya's form up girl, by the way, in case anyone forgot. I know it's been a while. They're kind of going back and forth, snipping at each other, which I gotta talk to Saya about. Like, I get like that he's my sort of buddy and everything like that, but he's also like a Super Saiyan 2 that will like wreck you, and she's always like making threats at him and stuff, and it's like, yeah, listen, that kind of stuff can't fly. Like, you gotta watch who you talk to, because I can't, if I'm not watching or something like that, Kato's gonna smack you, and that's gonna be a wrap for you. Um, yeah, so that exchange happens. I do explain to Sai that like he is my friend at the end of the day, like begrudgingly sometimes, even though he shot me in the chest. And she asked if I want something to eat. I say sure. I asked Kato if he wants something to eat, and Sai is like, well, he can find it himself. And I was like, come on. He's like, he's my friend. And I was like, I'd appreciate it if you would. She's like, okay, okay. So I was like, kind of trying to bridge that gap a little bit. Um, I'm starting to feel lightheaded again there, doing the thing, and I was like, okay, guys, like I gotta lay down. Like I can't do this, and I start to get up, and it's getting worse and worse. And Rohan's like, it's like, I got you. I was like, no, man, that's okay. Kato's got me, right, bud? He apparently, like, he's been charged, his job as with the Harlequin, what he's basically been conscripted to do is he's my guardian in a sense for the next couple days, but also he's like my anchor, because this one is like, I'll travel and insurmountable about a difference without a ship or without flying, but like through this Harlequin speed network, that exists in some way, and he's my anchor so that I can get back to where I'm going quickly. Uh, but yeah, he manages to get me upstairs, throw me on the bed, and I black out again. Uh, my next my next vision is of the actual fight, and I come to find out that I'm basically registering, and I come to find out that my opponent was disqualified, and that I don't know what it was for. I don't remember, because I guess it's a dream state. Not every detail was made immediately clear, and I don't even know who my opponent was in the first place. Anyway, my new opponent turns out to be Kato, and we meet up, and like, he's kind of gives me the hard looks, and like he says, I understand. Understand. He basically he won this battle royale kind of thing to be able to fight in one of the exhibition matches. I had come to find out in the lead up to it, and we skip ahead of slightly. You know, we get into the ring, and we go at it. Something about our battles is like they were the most knockdown, drag out fights I don't want to say you've ever seen, but like there's just like they always end up with like two people so pathetically beat, but like neither one giving up at the end of it. Like one of our early battles, like the DM was telling me, like he remembered one of my earlier recaps, it's like I'd slammed Kato into this like rock where he was pinned against it, and like we're both so weak, and he's like picking rocks out of like the side of this mountain and just like throwing them at me. And it's just like a Saiyan fight where we start out like throwing these powerful blasts around and everything like that, and like it's reduced to just like these last ditch efforts of like throwing rocks as I like try to like run at him, but like more like limp and stumble after him. Anyway, that didn't happen here. That's another time, but it's just kind of like an allegory for how our fights end up like playing out a lot of times, because like we are very even, and up until this point, like I've beaten Kato every time uh, that we've fought, and it's like there's usually like some reason that we fought. Like the first time we fought was we were hired by two separate people. His job was to steal this weapon that I made. My job was to make the weapon, and it's like there was a lot on the line. A lot of times when we fight, like there's something more on the line than just running into the guy and being like, "Hey, you," and like another time we're trying to push ourselves. I think it's different. No, it wasn't even a different level. I don't even know. But anyway, like usually this seems like there's more on the line than just like stumbling across this guy and like, hey, you can get hit. Um, and this one, like it's a tournament in front of 1 million people, and we get it in. So I open it up as I tend to open up with the pillars, but I don't go like all in. Like I kind of summon a few, and they augment my destructive power significantly. um, there was a cool moment where, oh yes, like the first one, like I accomplished the move I want to, but Kato has this technique where he can burrow in the ground because like that's part of his thing. Now it's not something he uses often, but it's like it's an effective trick every now and again. But I've seen him do it before, so he's in the ground, and I basically bait him into to like where I am because I know he's gonna probably try to like ambush me. And as I jump up at the last second, I summon two pillars out there and slam them together on him, and he manages. I don't know what he did. There was something different about him this time, where he was like because usually it's like a couple of these pillars and like it's a KO, like, and at this point like I hit him with the first one. I hit him with part of it, and then I hit him with these two. Like usually like that's almost a wrap like for some people who are near my level, but he had done something. I think like he had reinforced himself with this like ultra dense metal at some point, and he was like it was just one of those ones like there's this kind of ebb and flows who are fights and our experiences where like every time we're coming up with something new. So like this time I was using my pillars in like different ways. Um, anyway, I use him as a trap, bang, blow him up. He drops by like 30% off that hit. Like so it's like I traded I think it was like 3% of my energy for 30% of his. And it's like that's a good trade for that. It's just like hitting them you have to be creative with it. And that's what I was to say is the way they work is there's a bunch of different states I can do with them. So I can summon them and collide into them for the shape charges. I can move them and manipulate them as like an energy manipulator to have them like chase the enemy or like slam into each other. Um, I can like step inside them and detonate them outwards, and just kind of do all kinds of stuff with them. Uh, so it's not like they're just like these standing still minefield kind of things. Like they're moving mines. So like it's one of those things that kind of makes the battlefield a bit dicey. The only thing with it is though is that they're so powerful where it's something I left out with my mom, but it's like also applies to Kato is other energy can detonate in them, but it has to be very potent energy. So like people who have just fired key blasts and stuff like that at them, like it doesn't affect them at all. Like you can fire key blasts for days at one of these pillars and it won't detonate. But if one pillar detonates and another one's close enough to like the epicenter of it, it'll like chain reaction them. So like I can do some like wild chain reaction stuff with them too. But also create a lot of collateral damages where I can hurt myself if, like, let's say I summon three around me and detonate the one in front of me. If the two are too close behind me, like, I can get caught up in the wake of destruction. So it's like something I have to be mindful of when I create this basically like minefield on the battlefield. you know, and the fact that they can follow me around, like I can basically control them at will, like where I want them to go. If I want them to chase the enemy, if I want them like to feign stuff, anything like that, like I can get them to do what I want. Anyway, back to the fight. Uh, he does the underground thing. I catch him by surprise. Ha! Bang! Collide the two pillars together. Boom! Blow him away. That's where I think he takes like the 30% of his biggest damage. And I look, and Kato uses this metallic staff. And what was the opening thing? Oh, the opening thing was. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Is like I basically I had like a he uses a staff and I use a spear and shield as like a primary weapon thing, and I have some special things I can do with my shield as far as like making really powerful, like you know your standard key blast where you just pop, you know, pop one off. It doesn't do that much damage. I can do a thing where like I do like a shield butt or like a shield ram and have a key blast like come through that, but it's a lot more potent than a normal key blast without costing me too much energy, just because of the technique behind it. And I was going to go do something like that as the opener, and he used his pull and kind of extended it and pushed himself away from my charge and got himself underground to get away from the detonation of it. That was the first thing that happened. Then the me setting the trap for him, that was the next thing, and then oh yeah, so he can control metal really well, like almost like it's a homing energy blast, like kind of how I can control my pillars. And so he sent the staff. I didn't see the staff whenever he came out, and I was like, oh, DM. So I guard myself with my left, like basically blind guard myself with my shield because my shield's in my left hand. But I look to my right because I know that's my vulnerable side, and sure enough, the staff was coming there, and I managed to deflect it away. And it's like one of those ones where it's like we know each other, like to a point, like we know each other's moves. Like there is a, you know, when you fight, there is a level of predictiveness to what you do. But also like there's the way that you kind of weave your abilities together to do something new or different. But like this is one of those ones like it makes sense. Like my if I want to guard, you know, I've got my shield on my left hand, my right or my left side, my right side is more exposed, so I know to just look to my right side at that point. Uh, Whereas like the shield would probably block anything that comes in, and it works out. Um, we oh he exchanges some blasts uh, with me, and they're a lot more powerful than key blasts. Like they I think it's like it's weird because I'm not like if I get up on you, like I'm not the best fighter or anything like that. But if I'm using these pillars, like I basically become this like bomb that's suicide charging you. So you know, it's counterintuitive because it's like, oh, he's a blaster type character. I want to get up on him and box him because Kato's definitely faster than I am, especially like pre Harlequin days. I think post Harlequin days, I'm faster than him now, but he's definitely faster than me. But he doesn't want to get up close because like I'm so obnoxious to fight up close because I'm constantly slamming these pillars into myself and just detonating these massive explosions around me, uh, or not even around me, like you know, kind of like in this omnidirectional blast outside of me by slamming a pillar into myself. And so it's like you kind of have this thing. It's like, well, there's this guy that you want to box because he's, you know, you're probably a better boxer than him, but also like he's also this walking bomb in a sense where uh, my strikes aren't like sweet or anything like that. Like they're not ineffective. It's just that there are better better fighters out there than me, but it's like I can catch you with a punch, hurt you, send you flying, but also if you're outboxing me, like bang is this giant explosion of energy that's blowing you away and doing a lot of damage to you. So he tries to keep me at range, which that's where I'm better at is at range, and he starts raining down these key blasts. But like usually like with key blasts, like sometimes I can just kind of put my shield out and like charge through them. But like these are actually pretty potent key blasts. Like he's like rapid firing them. So I have this thing called an absorption matrix, which makes me look like one of those little plasma lamps. And what it does is it absorbs energy and the kinetic impact for them and allows me to redirect it to kinetic strikes. So it's another thing where it's like I'm not the strongest or I'm not the fastest, but like I can convert your energy into making me hit harder. um, So like even like when I do get up on you, like I can transcend where I currently am as far as the level goes. So he's doing that, and I'm flying at him. Oh, so what had happened was, uh, I had I had launched myself off, or I basically like from the result of me doing that pillar explosion and everything like that. Like we had both, he had like kind of slid back and taken the damage, and I had landed, and I did like that kind of like Superman get down on like your one knee and get ready to launch myself up because he had launched himself up in like this lightning bolt. Like that's one of his like new. This is a new ability for him. Like he's got like this really fast like lightning zap movement. Now I have a burst of speed movement style ability as well. I feel like he kind of like took what I did and like applied it to his power. As far as my burst of speed goes, but like yeah, he did like this lightning jolt upwards, and that's how he got above me. So I did like the Superman thing where you get down on one knee and boom, launch myself in the air. But what I did is, as my foot left the ground, I summoned a pillar beneath my foot and brought it up with me. So it's like I'm basically looking to go up and get up close on him, but also like as like my momentum stops to punch him, bring the pillar around me, and then boom, like combine the punch with the other thing. And it's like you can see like him being like I can see like in his facial expressions as we're fighting, because it is like a very intense fight, that he's upset that I'm like using these pillars so so I don't want to say like not randomly, but like he's fought me before and he knows how nasty they are, and it's like they're more like finishing moves in a sense, but like I'm incorporating them into my fighting style as a not even like they're finishing moves. Like if I summon a bunch of them, like let's say I summon like 30 of them, like 30% of my power, like that's a that's kind of a finishing move kind of thing. Where if I hit 30 of them on somebody who's anywhere near my power, that's a wrap. And even if I hit like half of them and like they get caught by the splash things, like it's still a wrap. Like it's an insane amount of destructive energy. But like I'm incorporating them just using small bits of them, and like I'm kind of weaving them into a fighting style. He's like he's upset because it's been like really effective with him, where it's like normally if he gets off on me he can outbox me. If I keep him at range, I can I can outblast him. Like my energy projection is definitely better than his. um so anyway, I'm flying up and I'm basically riding this pillar upwards because I'm basically shooting myself with the pillar, and he's raining down these blasts. Now I thought I could charge right through him. The DM explained because usually key blast stuff like that you can power through it, but like these are apparently very strong key blasts where they're draining a significant amount of his energy. So I use my absorption matrix, and that's where I come to find out it absorbs not just the energy but also the kinetic impact of them. So I get up on him, and he manages to use that lightning thing to get out of the way. So he's running away from me, and it's like, oh, DM, this is perfect. Like, Emrys at range is nice. So I start firing these homing blasts at him, and he's doing his best to dodge them. And it's like the homing blasts don't fire quite as fast as a straight key blast, but like the big thing with them is they will continue to home in on the target. So like even if he's a little bit faster than them, they're still chasing him around. So like I'm basically building up this like little arsenal of like key blasts, like kind of firing all these things off, and they're chasing him. And I said, "Oh, DM, I basically start firing them wide left to push him right, and then as he gets pushed right, I like double kick the pillar down to him to detonate it, and it works again. Like it's one of those ones where it's like you don't like at this point like he had built up enough blast chasing him that where if he just let all of them hit him, he's gonna take some damage. Like usually normal key blasts are, it's like they're kinetic, they're energy, they're they're a hindrance with a small amount of damage. Like there's not a lot of them. But like if you get hit with a lot of key blasts, like it can add up. Like it's not like I said, it's not a significant, it's not a finishing move by any means, but like it's kind of the war of attrition in a fight. Like you know, same way with getting hit by like a nasty punch or something like that. Like it hurts you. Um, so bang, I do that. I managed to lead him into a point where like he's got so many blasts, he's got to deflect some away, and He's trying to just get stop from getting hit from all these blasts at this point, and boom, another pillar shot goes off, and this one's a pretty solid hit on him, and you can tell like he's definitely. Oh no, wait, was this the one? So yeah, this was the one where I think I might be getting stuff a little bit out of order. Uh, Really good setup on my part, not patting myself on the back, but also doing that a little bit. Um, he summons this weird metal box around him, and it whatever this metal is like super durable to the point where my my pillar explosion didn't see my single pillar explosion didn't seem to damage it, or didn't seem to like noticeably damage it. And we kind of had this moment where he looks at me hard and everything like that, and I just kind of looked down at him with I always picture it like kind of like as a smirk or a smile, because it's just like he bust out something new. Like I'd never seen like this weird metal box thing, and he starts turning into like this like Rubik's cube, and so the box is the size of a house. Like let's as far as like the size of it goes, and the blast caught him somewhat because it was by such surprise, but like this also used a massive. That's why his energy got so low. Is he used a massive amount of his energy to summon this box of it's a house shaped cube of a house sized cube of this ultra dense metal that he had summoned. And that's something like his life magics was able to do, was create. He can create metal, and he can control metal really well. That's kind of his like signature thing. That with the lightning, and he makes it has this Rubik's cube, and it splits off into like 30 different pieces. So while I see it doing that, I start summoning pillars everywhere in the thing. I basically create this literal minefield of like 15 like I think it's like 15 or 20 pillars spread all throughout this stadium, and it's just like there's these minefields of things. And what do I go to do? Um, oh, I said like I basically he looks like he's powering something up, so I send a pillar after him, and he's able to control this metal in a way that it takes like I think like 5 or 6 of these blocks to basically it's weird because usually it takes an immense amount of either kinetic force or energy to overwhelm one of these pillars and have it manually detonate without outside of my control. So he basically does this with 6 of these blocks. It takes 6, like the DM explained where it hits. It's either 4 or 6. It might have been 4. The DM explains like he did like one in the top, one in the bottom, like 2 in like one in the upper middle, one in the lower middle, like one in the dead center kind of thing. And it's like that's what it took. And bang, 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 like hitting those. Like he managed to like detonate the pillar before it got to him. And I kind of have like this moment of like, oh, nice, you're able to do that. And I do like this giant wave clap thing, and boom, clap my hands together. But it's also like a way for me to translate my moving my energy around, and I just sent all the pillars at him at once because like he had like that smug moment. Like we kind of had like that back and forth. It was like he like busts out this new technique and everything like that. And I don't know if I've ever busted out the full on minefield with him on the pillars thing, because like I think the DM was saying like I can summon like 30 or 40 of these things and create like this insanely nasty minefield that no one wants to fight in, and I can also have it follow me around. But like anyway, I did 15 because I wasn't going all in on this. Like at this point, I haven't taken any meaningful damage, and I've just spent energy to reduce his, and I've kind of won out on the exchange. Um, but yeah, so I was like, oh, I see like 4 of these detonates one pillar, so I've got like 14 left that I've already summoned, and I'm like, okay, screw it, DM, I just throw them all at him, and he gets this like upset look on his face because like so far I've been one at a timing them, and I don't know if he didn't know I could control that many at once or control them as well as I do, but I also kind of like did the math on the fly, and it's like, oh, if you used 4 or 5 of those to counter one of these pillars, what are you gonna do against 15 pillars when you only have? Because like the DM said to me is like you see like 30 of these smaller metal blocks that he's like controlling at this point, making this like they're kind of like orbiting around him like you see like a radiation aura or something like that, like kind of swirling around, making a little tornado. And I was like, oh, like you don't have enough to deal with all these, and just boom, send them all at him. And he just, you can see that like upset look on his face again. Like you're like, God damn it, Everest. Uh, and yeah, he starts like sending the things out to like because the pillars are all different directions, all different things, and like they're just closing in on him. And it's like even if they're not right on top of him, like the explosion radius on these things is immense. And not even just like the explosion radius, like the damage radius of like like there's the inner core, like you don't want to get hit by the inner core of the explosion thing. Like I said, the two people who are basically fighting at my current level, and this is in Super Saiyan, like who got hit by the core of the explosion, dropped their power by 30%, like both times. So it's like, it's not like I guess look at it, I think it's like you think of like Goku's Kamehameha. It's like yeah, when he uses a finishing move, he disintegrates some people and everything like that, but he doesn't always use it. Like he uses it all the times during the fight. It's like imagine being able to trade 1% of your energy to drop your and equal powered opponents by 30% by connecting the blast. And it's like that's a really good exchange rate, in my opinion, for it. So even and that's one of those ones like so it's like let's say it's 30% at the epicenter. Like if I get like a direct hit with them, um, even if it's not at the epicenter, like they're massive explosions and you get caught with you get caught with the kind of wash over you style damage that's out there. And he's detonating them and trying to dodge, and he starts to get to the point where as they get closer, the ones he's detonating, they're damaging him, but they're also chain reacting the other pillars, because like that's kind of the downside of them is whenever there's that certain threshold of energy that they get that they interact with, they detonate themselves, like in the whole minefield thing. Like you could have mines close enough where the shockwave from one mine would detonate another mine. Only this way it's like more energy based. So he doesn't manage to use all of them to defend them, but like takes a pile of damage in the process. He's looking messed up, but like uh, definitely not down and out yet. And like there's something like I don't want to. I won't say that yet because I don't want to spoil anything. Um, like he's definitely got like this look of determination in his eye. Like it's just like he's angry. Like he's like almost snarling and everything at this point. At the the way the fight is going. I'm a little hazy here because this is like the session's getting into like 3-4 a.m. kind of range, um, or at least like 2 or 3 a.m. range at this point. But like we get it in some more. What does he do? Oh, that's what it was. Okay, I do remember next. Um, so he starts. He has like a couple of those cubes left, and he starts powering up a powerful blast. I said, "Oh, okay, screw it, DM." I, I raise my hand up with my spear in it, and form a pillar around the spear, and I chuck it at him. And apparently, he wasn't powering up a blast. He was basically powering up a kind of almost like if you remember a cannonball from X-Men. Like he was doing that, but it was like a lightning technique where it was like a lightning crash. But like he kind of all in himself into my body, where like it was kind of like one of those smash kind of things, like where it was more. It was like it was a desperation style move because that the minefield detonation messed him up. Like it definitely like swayed things a lot in my favor as far as the fight went. And yeah, so like what ended up happening is I think oh yeah, he blew the pillar up and we both took it and we both went flying. uh, but he also hit me with something, I think, when because it was like the lightning strike, where he basically looks like he turns into a bolt of lightning and then bang comes out of it and like basically shoulder crashed me, and we both kind of went flying and rolling, and that was the first moment for me where it was a hard enough hit that like my Super Saiyan status flickered a bit, but I managed to keep it up. Um, what was it next? There was something that happened, and I'm trying to remember what. I don't really though. Where there was some kind of exchange, I think, of energy or something like that, where I managed to catch him off guard. Uh, because because I managed to get the advantage again out of it. Anyway, whatever it was, there was something that happened that led up to him getting pushed back, and I kind of saw my moment where it's like oh no, I know what it was. So I had through that exchange, I had managed to keep that stored energy inside my absorption matrix, and after we both got kind of blown away, like he, I think he, like at that point he knows that like I'm worse up close to him, but like it's probably gonna be difficult for me to summon a lot of pillars like that again. So like I think I charged at him, and I was like, okay, DM, like I'm going to release this thing in the form of basically boosting the potency of my strike, and it's like I missed the first one and he does something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he dodges the first one, and then I just keep up the aggression and I catch him with the second one, and boom, I send him sliding backwards, and it's like I said, it's a really solid punch. Like it's the point where he like coughs up some blood, and I send him flying backwards, but I just don't let off the gas pedal. Like as he's sliding back, boom, pillar behind him, and Psycho Crusher kind of do like that. I don't do the spin, but like I do like the where you both fists out in front of you, and I try to push him into the pillar. And it's just like one of those ones where it's like the move is it's kind of like my version of his all in thing, where it's like he'll take the brunt of the explosion, but I'm definitely gonna take some damage if I do it. Like it's one of those ones where it was a very like all in kind of thing, but he manages to take some damage to the back, but he actually surrounds the both of us in the remaining bit of metal, that metal field that he has, and boom, we both kind of get blown away and rolled around. And I think his Super Saiyan flickers for the same at the same time there. Like I said, I think I'm missing a little bit of the fight, like as far as it was drawn out, because this is a long fight. Like I said, all of our fights are like these knockdown, drag out things, and this is where it gets to the point where like things are getting pretty sad, because it's not even sad. It's just like there's two evenly matched warriors who both give it and take it as good as the other. Like neither one quits easy or anything like that. My durability and my like it's like my vitality or something like that. Like my stat is pretty decent. It's above average. It's like for a Saiyan, especially a Saiyan at my level. Excuse me. And so this is where we get to the point like where we're like we're definitely not at our best. Like our best fighting has stopped, and at this point, it's just like a like kind of pride on the line kind of thing. And it's like both of us should have probably like yielded at this point. Like one or the other could have, and it would have been a great fight for everyone to enjoy. But no, that's not how Kato and I do it. What is it like? Both of our Super Saiyans have flickered at this point. I think mine had flickered for a second time, and I was like, "All right, DM," because like I'm struggling to hold on to like my Super Saiyan form, and I said, "All right, screw it, DM. I I let it drop. Like I don't even sweat it, and I summon a pillar behind him. And what ends up happening is like the pillars get a lot less destructive at a lower level, but like me still at like a level like that, like I can still blow some stuff up as a regular Saiyan. Like you don't need to be Super Saiyan to do that. And I know like it's just one of those ones where I can sense that he's ready to fall out of it, kind of thing. And so it's like if I can get, and he's like, he's kind of on his last Super Saiyan legs as well. But this way, like I can put all my focus into just like getting this last strike off, and so like I kind of run at him and fly, and then like also fall back down, not fall, but like fall out of flight, and then just start running at him again to charge. and he uses like the last bit of his energy to wrap my pillar in this electric field and keep it from detonating. So then we start. I think he like wraps himself around it at first, and we start like just having this like really ugly fight, like where it's just like both people should have 100% like surrendered at this point, and it's just like bang bang, just like no one's blocking or anything like that, just like taking these punches to the jaw. I'm trying to like detonate this thing, and it's like, it's like it's a near not suicidal, but like it's definitely knocking both of us out if I detonate it from the outside. Uh, and what is it like? He pins like he manages to pin me down because at this point like he's just stronger than I am. I think he blacks me out once with this like nasty haymaker, and then I get back up and run at him again. Apparently it was like one of those like 1 second blackout kind of things. I run at him again, and it's just like he's poured everything he can to keep this thing from detonating, and I think he drops out of Super Saiyan at this point, and like he manages to get on top of me. And he's like bang bang, he's like just punching me in the face, and I was like, all right, DF. So I put my hands up, and like kind of like that boxing guard over your face, and then whenever he punches, I like push him out and I headbutt him as hard as I can, try to keep myself from blacking out in the process. And he was like it's like Emrys is not like the he's not the kind of person who should put his body on the line as much as he does, because especially with someone who's fought him before and knows that he isn't like he's not like the pinnacle of like he's not like the guy that goes out there and just like dismantles you with his fighting prowess. Like he does it with a combination of like being able to fight but also like being an exceptional energy user. So bang, catch him off guard, give him the massive headbutt that like sends out the shockwave, and he like kind of reels back. And I was like, oh damn, no, I try to grab his arms. I managed to grab both of his arms and bang, headbutt him a second time, and that drops him out of Super Saiyan. Which like that's one of those moments like I feel like unfortunately I toned the crowd out, but like come to find afterwards, like the crowd is absolutely wilding out, and it's like you have to like imagine like this dude who drops his Super Saiyan status headbutting a Super Saiyan, but like doing it enough to like knock him out of Super Saiyan, and it was just like people were wilding, I think. Um, yeah, so I managed to knock him out, and he's using like he still has all of his focus because this like basically he's got like this energy field around this bomb that's behind him, and we're fighting over fighting over the bomb, and so like I knock him down and get past him, and what is it? I'm at this point like hobbling, like trying to like keep myself together just to try to get to it, and it's like if I can step inside, I'm just gonna omnidirectional blow it up, and like if I do that, like I don't take damage from it, like it just explodes off outwards from me, so it's like the safe way to detonate it. But if I could do that, I could finish this. It could be a wrap. Now I could have just punched it and probably knocked both of us out, but that would have been a draw, and we're not about that. For here, it's like so I'm trying to get to it, and I almost get to it, and I'm trying to remember exactly what he does. Oh, like he does one of those things where it's like, like you could reach deep down to get like that last bit of thing, and it's just like it's kind of his like last all-in ditch attempt, and I forget what he catches me with. He does catch me with something. Uh, oh yeah, it's like it's one of those ones where like from what I took away from it, like it's like one of those ones where you're dipping deep enough into yourself to probably damage some things, like to kind of to accomplish this in this fight. Whereas like, and this is why I didn't want to spoil it or anything like that, because spoiler alert, Kato ends up coming out on top of this one. Is Kato is kind of putting everything on the line now, where Emrys looks like he's putting everything on the line. Like to him, he just wants to have a good fight. Like he wants to have a good exhibition match where people were like, oh, like for him, his pride wasn't so much on the line of winning or losing this. Like, it's like I said, it's an exhibition match. Like, yeah, it's more about how you perform in the fight rather than the ultimate end result kind of thing. Now, the end result obviously matters. I'm not dismissing Kato's victory or anything like that, but it's like going into it, like if this was anyone else other than Kato, like Emrys probably wouldn't have gone quite as far, quite as all in as he did to do this for an exhibition match. Because it's just like, you're there to you're there to just kind of like show off some stuff and everything. Like, you're there not to be like the main event of the tournament where these people were like have stuff on the line, winning and losing, like to see if they advance or anything like that. But we took it a little far, and whatever transpires, like Kato like gets like this last big thing, and it's like it literally comes down to like one punch, and he manages to end up pulling the W out of the match. Um, oh, so no, so I blacked out once. I got a little bit ahead of myself. Um, before he actually wins the fight, uh, I wake back up, and Kato's still there, Saya's still there, Rohan's still there, and Pan is back, and she's hanging out. And we go have a conversation. I find out like that I basically blacked out again. There's more of that black goop by my bedside that apparently I throw up and expel from my body, which is terrible. And I was joking to the DM. I was like, it's sitting there on my nightstand. I was like, man, DM, if I wake up really thirsty, I'm gonna go take a big sip of that. I was like, player, no, that's a terrible idea, player. And you know it's a terrible idea. I was like, all right, but DM, if I'm really thirsty, and just saying, like, you know how that is sometimes. You just don't want to get out of bed. But no. So I wake up with that and have this exchange with Kato and Pan and all them. And Pan is nice enough to actually like, because like it's one of those ones where so Pan volunteers her time to help me train Saya and Rohan because as these two are finding out, I've got stuff I gotta do outside of like training them. Like, I'm not like they're like full on master who's dedicated to raising up students. Like, I've got my business. So far I've been called off world to like do this shared will thing for like this, basically the Jeff Bezos of like weapons for the Saiyan Empire. Um, and then the next thing I do is, or not for the Saiyan Empire, but like, actually no, for like the Arcadian Saiyan Empire, like she's bigger than our system. She's not like just something within my dad's realm of influence. She's like on the greater scale. And the next thing is like I'm getting called off world with this Harlequin thing. So it's like I can't always be around or anything like that. And like this just happens to be a very busy time for me, just with a lot going on. But she volunteers it, and I was like, that'd be awesome. And I was like, I'll help you out as well because like, I helped her hit Super Saiyan. I was like, she wants to see what I can do, and I learned from her, not learn so much, but just she explains there's something called the solar somethings. I wish I'd have written it down, but at this point it's like literally almost 4 a.m. and my notes fall off super hard. But it's an evolution of the solar flare, and apparently the solar flare actually deals with people's. It's like it affects people's minds more than it does their. Like, it's not necessarily just a blinding technique. Like there's the solar illusion where you can make people see something, and then there's a solar something else where you can actually. It's a form of like suggestion where you can get someone to do something else, but it's very difficult to do. Apparently, her trainer is like, I don't know if he's like a master of the solar. I guess I wish I could remember the term for it. Like, it's like the solar somethings, and it's like it's for the group of abilities that one of which that we all know is the solar flare. But like, I don't know if her trainer took it to a transcendent level, or he's like the obviously not the originator or anything like that, but like just like someone who is like kind of mastery over it, where there's different forms of it. But anyway, she's telling me about those, and I was like, oh, like I've heard of the solar flare, but like I've never heard of these three. And she's like, yeah, they're a lot less common. Like the solar flare is just kind of like the simplest and easiest one to use effectively. The solar illusion and the solar the third one is definitely like magnitudes more difficult to use. And she's like, even well, not even she's still young. She's what is she? I think she's she's 23, like, and I'm 26. She's a little bit younger than I. Maybe no, she's not. No, she's not 23. I'm wrong. She's like 17. Uh, but she's training with this military group, and like her master happens to know it, so like he teaches some of his students it. Anyway, we have this conversation about like her helping to train Form Up Girl and Rohan. Uh,
basically the idea that I'm going to be leaving here for a couple days. Like I'll help pan out as well, and kind of talking about like Saya's training progress so far, and she has actually technically come a long way in a short period of time. Like coming from someone who has like the worst form you've ever seen when it comes to fighting, to like someone who can actually throw blast, and it's just like there was a large jump there, and a big part of it is like having the facilities and someone with the knowledge to explain it. Like it's like one of those ones like I guess you could be amazed if you take someone with a lot of like tenacity and dedication to wanting to become better, and then like giving them the proper tools to do it. It's almost like an allegory for like maybe our fake world and the problems of education in lower income families or something like that. I don't know. Like maybe the DM was trying to hit something deep there. Maybe he was just telling some Saiyan stories. Who can say? Um, anyway, there was a back and forth about all that, and I black out again. Oh, I had mentioned to Kato, I was like I had the most terrible dream that we were that you know that we were to fight, or we were fighting, but I don't I can't remember who won. And he looked at me like surprised, but also like kind of a little sympathetic, because he could tell like at this point like I'm just, from whatever this shared will thing is affecting me, it's obviously drained me at a level of like I would say like kind of pathetic, but at this point it's just like I'm losing consciousness, I'm slipping in and out, like I'm losing time, like I'm constantly groggy and out of it, feeling like just not great overall. Anyway, go back into the I black out again, and I wake up in like the recovery type bed, all bandaged up and everything like that. And Kato was kind of standing in the room, and he was saying something to the effect, to me presuming I was unconscious, uh, that excuse me, tickle in my throat. Sorry, too much talking. Um, 1 second. He was saying something to the effect as well. The whole idea of this is for us to get stronger, right? And I apparently had caught him in some mid thing, and I was about to say something to him to wake up, because like I don't want like there is that level of respect there that exists between us, where it's like I don't want him to think that I'm like faking being knocked out, because I was cocked out cool, but he had ended up winning the fight with that final blow, which I had spoiled earlier. But that's where I remember, because like I couldn't remember, like that's how bad my memory was. Like I legitimately could not remember how this fight occurred. Like there were moments in my past I couldn't remember. Like there was just like blurs of time in the present that I was forgetting. Anyway, Mira shows up out of surprise, because like Mira's one of those kind of people who's very come and go. Like you won't see her for a year, and then she'll show back up and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she's my sister, my older sister, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, kind of like admiring my handiwork, like because Kato's an ass. I think he was actually like kind of paying some respects, but like you got a front for when Mira comes in hard at you and everything like that. And he's all bandaged up and messed up as well, but like I'm in a bed all bandaged up, and obviously, and I was still unconscious because he did get the better of me at the end of it. Um, yeah, what was it? They have they had this little back and forth thing, and I'm like, hey, hey, and they're like, oh, he's cut up. So Mira comes over to me, and I look around to Kato, and I'm like, did we give him a good fight? And he's like, yeah, yeah, man, we did. And it's just kind of like that acknowledgement of one another. And then Mira and I talk a little bit, and she was saying how like our fight like got some of the highest ratings of like any of the preliminary rounds. Like people were rewatching that instead of some of the other bouts. And we talked. Uh, I'll fast forward a little bit here because I think I'm already pretty long. Uh, we I wake back up. I got rid of the rest of the gooey terrible stuff inside me, and the DM like had to work extra hard to like convince me, because I was like, DM, I'm just waiting to pass out again. I know it's gonna happen. And I go around and I talk to everybody, let them know that I'm gonna be gone for 3 or 4 days, do the Harlequin thing, get set up to do that. Uh, uh, Kato's still surprised we don't need a ship because the distance we're traveling is like there's no way someone at our power levels could get there in any kind of timely manner without a ship. But we get sucked into this Harlequin network, and that's where I pause. Yeah, awesome session. Kind of reliving one of my great fights with Kato, even though it was a loss. Like I feel like, and I said to the DM, and he kind of like backed up this theory a bit. It's like Kato had a lot more on the line than I did, and he wanted it more at the end of the day. Like, because at the end, it kind of came down to more of a sheer will kind of thing as opposed to one side overpowering the other. Because we both kind of gave it as good as we got, even though I think I gave it a little bit better. He just like whatever, like everything was down. Like there was something about this that he wanted or he was hungry for, and I made some cracks about like I guess it's only fair that I reminded him of like me beating him a million times that he beat me in front of a million people. I was like, I guess it kind of evens out that way with karma. And I said, I guess next time now I have a reason to be better than him, because like at this point like I had beaten him like 4 times to his 0, and now that he like beat me on this one, I got to surpass him in the next. But yeah, that was my session.